The fiery clash between Elisabeth Hasselbeck and Rosie O'Donnell on The View. But this week, old wounds were ripped wide open once again. Rosie O'Donnell, while appearing on an Australian radio show, dropped a bombshell claim that their heated split-screen shouting match back in 2007 wasn't as spontaneous as it seemed, but a setup by producers. And now, Elisabeth Hasselbeck is in tears, firing back in a deeply emotional response that has reignited one of television's longest-running rivalries. Imagine carrying the weight of a fight for almost 20 years, a fight the world never forgot. Now picture that fight being dragged back into the spotlight, framed not as your truth, but as a staged manipulation. That's exactly what Elisabeth Hasselbeck says she's facing today. With her voice shaking and her eyes brimming with tears, Elisabeth pleaded with Rosie O'Donnell to stop the madness, stop the lies, and move on. But Rosie's version of the story paints a very different picture. Let's rewind to May 2007. The View was already known for its fiery debates, but nothing prepared audiences for the day Rosie O'Donnell and Elisabeth Hasselbeck clashed live on air over the Iraq War and patriotism. What began as a tense disagreement quickly spiraled into an all-out verbal showdown. Producers made the decision to split the screen, placing Rosie on one side and Elisabeth on the other, amplifying the sense of battle lines being drawn. The segment became instantly iconic, replayed endlessly on television and online, symbolizing not just two women fighting, but America's own divided politics. Rosie left The View shortly after. Elisabeth stayed, but the moment haunted both of them for years to come. Fast forward to this week, Rosie O'Donnell appeared on Australia's Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel show. While reflecting on her time at The View, she revealed that the infamous split-screen moment wasn't accidental at all. According to Rosie, the producers had it ready. She claimed, "Our producer was not a spur-of-the-moment guy. That was prepared. The whole thing, I think, was a setup." Rosie also downplayed the feud, saying she isn't mad at Elisabeth, framing their clash as two passionate women with opposing views, who were caught in the machine of daytime television. But Elisabeth Hasselbeck wasn't buying it. Just days later, Elisabeth took to Instagram, visibly shaken, to share her truth. Through tears, she begged Rosie to stop manipulating the past, insisting that the fight wasn't staged, but deeply personal. Her words cut deep. "Stop lying, stop, just please stop, like we're all just trying our best." She accused Rosie of rewriting history to make herself look better, saying that she, Elisabeth, had been left vulnerable on national television, questioned about her patriotism, and left without support. Even more striking, Elisabeth still extended forgiveness, saying, "Even maybe if you don't stop, I forgive you. And it can be so much more free, Rosie, if you can just stop. Stop the madness. Stop the lying. Just be free." Fans online immediately split into camps. Some rallied behind Elisabeth, praising her vulnerability and bravery. Others sided with Rosie, agreeing that television thrives on manufactured drama and that producers probably fueled the fire. What many don't realize is that this wasn't just television drama. Behind the scenes, both women were dealing with personal struggles. Rosie was battling media scrutiny and stress over her controversial takes, while Elisabeth was relatively new to the spotlight, still finding her footing in an industry known for its cutthroat dynamics. Insiders at the time claimed that producers thrived on conflict, that sparring moments boosted ratings. A setup, maybe not fully orchestrated, but certainly exploited. That's the darker side of daytime TV. Real pain used as entertainment. Television insiders have chimed in on the resurfaced feud. One veteran producer told industry outlets, "Split screens are not something done lightly. They're prepared. They don't just happen by accident." But another media expert argues that Rosie may be deflecting responsibility. When things got ugly, blaming producers is easier than owning the fact that both women lost control. Meanwhile, psychologists observing the drama say Elisabeth's emotional plea is a sign of someone who feels re-traumatized, as if the wound from 2007 was ripped open all over again. So, what does this all mean for Elisabeth and Rosie? For Elisabeth Hasselbeck, it's about protecting her reputation and her truth. She doesn't want her fight to be remembered as a scripted stunt, but as a real clash of values. For Rosie O'Donnell, however, this could soften her own image, portraying her as someone who was thrown into a setup rather than the aggressor. But in the public eye, both women risk being pulled back into a feud they clearly hoped was behind them. This isn't the first time The View has ignited cultural firestorms. From Whoopi Goldberg's clashes with Meghan McCain to Joy Behar's decades of fiery exchanges, controversy has always been part of its DNA. But no fight has ever reached the iconic, almost mythological status of Elisabeth versus Rosie. And now, nearly 20 years later, that same fight is back, proving that daytime television drama never truly dies. Two women, two truths. One unforgettable fight that continues to haunt both of them nearly 2 decades later. Will Rosie and Elisabeth ever find peace, or will this feud forever define them? Only time will tell.
For full video, click related link below or like and subscribe this channel.